So there.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
Why do you keep saying let us know your thoughts?
Let me know your thoughts to me is a nice lead-in for So there. So there.
Welcome to episode 43 of
So there.
I'm Gary Doyle.
And I'm Tom Karamitis.
Recording this on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Tom.
And back at you, Gary Doyle. Happy Father's Day.
We don't share, well, we do share a lot of our personal lives on this, but you may not know that we're fathers. We are fathers.
Father's Day never, you know what, Mother's Day is so wrapped up in all kinds of, emotion and guilt, and it just seems a much more high-stakes holiday than Father's Day, at least to me anyway. Father's Day seems to be a bit of an afterthought as far as the card world. I mean, God forbid you forget somebody important on Mother's Day, but I don't feel quite the same pressure as Father's Day.
I think you're absolutely right. Mother's Day carries much more cultural currency. So what's on your mind today, Tom?
Well, I was watching, it's so rare that I end up watching PBS, but I was watching PBS about a week ago. They had something on that seemed interesting to me. And sure enough, you're 10 minutes into it, and they interrupt this wonderful documentary, whatever it was, with you realize that you're in a pledge drive. So I came to the conclusion that with PBS, either they do stack their best programming in pledge drives, or the other thing that occurred to me, they're constantly having a pledge drive. It's one or the other. But I have an issue with the pledge drives. I know that's how they depend on the pledge drives to survive. But there's this, speaking of Mother's Day, Father's Day guilt, there's this overwhelming sense of guilt that, and in fact, there was a PBS person a number of years ago who used the term freeloader during the pledge drive. Don't be a freeloader, they said.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with PBS. I salute their mission. I support them. But look, I do pay a monthly thing to Xfinity, and I'm assuming that some of that money somewhere goes to PBS so they have the right to carry their programming. But I don't know. Do you ever watch PBS?
Yeah. I mean, our tax dollars support PBS. I think you just said that. So I guess that's why I don't, for the same reason I don't contribute to school fundraisers in general, at least when my kids are in school. I didn't, because I'm like, I pay a ton of money in taxes for our schools. Why are they asking for more money?
Well, to the point you just made, our tax dollars support PBS.
Right.
I'm assuming that the cable provider is paying some money to PBS. Otherwise, PBS probably wouldn't. Well, I shouldn't say that. That may not be the case. But everybody else, ESPN, everybody else that you see on your Xfinity or whatever, part of the money you pay Xfinity every month is going to those programmers, I would think, right?
Yeah. And the pledge drive, they're too long. Their commercials for the pledge drive are like 15 minutes long. Who wants? All they say in those 15 minutes is, your contribution will help you watch great programs like what you're watching, and if you do, you'll get this tote bag. Now, why does it take 15 minutes to say that? And then they show people on the phone, which is a little archaic, but they show people in the background on the phone, and the production values are kind of low, I'd just like to say. So,
yeah, I don't know why it's 15 minutes either. It's obviously all filler. I mean, then they go into this kind of mindless recap of what you've been watching, and you talk about Frank Sinatra or whatever the documentary is about, and you just want to, that's a really good point you made. I don't think I'd mind it as much if it was like 5 minutes every hour or something. Instead, where there'd normally be a commercial break, they come in and just say, hey, just a reminder, guys, we love bringing this kind of programming, but we need your help. But 15 minutes every hour, it's just.
Or like typical commercial breaks, where there's like 3 commercial breaks in the course of an hour, and each one's 30 seconds or a minute, and they spend that minute going, they could be creative about it. You want to watch the next 40 minutes of this episode, right? We're guessing you're enjoying it. You wouldn't be able to watch it without contributions from our listeners. right? And then they could, they should do it like 3 times, like an hour, and keep them very short, like typical commercial length times.
I have a friend at PBS in Washington, D.C. I am going to air these grievances to her.
Whoa.
Yeah. And we'll report back and see if it gets any traction. Because I know TV networks in general do not want to piss off Gary Doyle and Tom Karamitis.
Well, no, they're well aware of our media might and our vast listenership. So there. I think we should create a new stinger. Maybe we'll ask our engineer, John Binder, to create a stinger about this. We've asked John to do a lot of freebies, so at some point he's going to tell us to piss off. But, we could call it something like, we need a better title, but we could call it something like Workplace Foibles, right? Co-worker, I need a word that begins with W. You get what I mean, But a couple things that I wanted to talk about that I've observed lately in my job is something. One thing is, I'll call it the 5 o'clock flurry, and what that is at 5 o'clock, around 5 o'clock, you get a blizzard of emails. In the course of the day, you'll have a normal amount of emails, and, they'll come through and all that. That's fine, and you're answering them. But then at 5, there's like this blitz, and or 5:30, you'll get like 20. And I don't understand that. Why does everybody choose to send this barrage of emails at the end of the day? Is it, I don't know, have they been in meetings all day? I kind of doubt that. Nobody's in meetings 8 hours a day, but I just don't understand it. Why are you doing this? It's odd to me, and I don't understand the psychology behind it.
I think they're also extra soul crushing because you've kind of said to myself, I made it. I survived another day. Look at me. It's 5 o'clock. And then all of a sudden, just when you're like putting your top hat on and your galoshes, boom, not so fast, son.
It is soul crushing. Top hat and galoshes on top. Those are two things that probably no human being has ever worn at the same time. A top hat and galoshes.
Going a little Mad Men on you right there.
Especially, not even Mad Men wore that. Especially, they have not donned those two things at the same time after answering emails or at the end of a workday. But you're right. It is soul crushing. Not that work, we all know in advertising, work usually doesn't end at 5. I'm not expecting that, just to, clock out and go home. But you're right. You expect it at least ease up a little bit, and you get a little time to clear your head and tackle whatever it is you want to tackle. But then, boom, 22 people all at the same time hit send. I don't understand it.
Well, the other thing about what you just mentioned was makes it that narrow window I was thinking when you were first talking about that, how do I feel when I get that barrage at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night? I think the 5 o'clock barrage is worse because at 9 o'clock at night, you can make the excuse that, I'm not even going to look at this until tomorrow. But at 5 o'clock, you're still kind of obligated.
Right.
It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, I wonder what is I'm not sure what my obligation time is. That's a great point. Like at 9, I'm not going to, unless it's urgent, client meeting the next morning or a pitch or whatever. You're right, but what's the cutoff? Like 5:30? Probably not. 6? Maybe. But what is the cutoff where you're like, no. Okay, so that's one thing. Another, how about coworker wackiness? That's not right. But, you get what I'm saying. Another thing that I've noticed is, I call it, and this is a thing that happens that's taken over the way people talk, the way a lot of people talk in the business world, maybe in the ad world, is I call it weirdly bored business speak. So you talk in a way where you're reciting things in a very bored, almost you're put upon to do this fashion. Like, I'll give you an example. Like a person's talking to the client and they'll say, and so we thought we would talk to millennials and we would ask them what their preferences are for garlic bread, and we thought we hypothesized that it might be about habits or what they do in the grocery store. And it's this weird way of talking where everything is a kind of a bored recitation, and it's become very prevalent. And by the way, I'm using garlic bread. I'm not speaking to the people that I do work on a garlic bread account. I'm not speaking to you in particular. I use garlic bread as a placeholder, but, it's just oddly, I'm kind of, I have to do this, and I got to talk about market share.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that's just just a general verbal tic that these people have, or do you think it's tied to our business or meetings, or you've noticed it more than just with an isolated person? I
don't know. I don't work in other industries, so I don't know if it's in other industries. But maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's an advertising thing. Maybe
because I will say I do know of a millennial at my agency that has a very similar verbal tic. So I'm wondering, is it a millennial thing? Is it a?
I think it is. I'm gonna anger my children who are millennials. I don't like it when I generalize about millennials, but I think that's true. It's a millennial thing, And I think I just want to say, talk like a normal person. Just talk. You don't have to be. Oh my God! I gotta talk about this again. Kill me now.
See, that's one benefit to the fact that my children have no interest in this podcast. I can criticize them up and down the block.
Half of my family listens to this, and the other half does not care.
Yeah, let's face it, by the time you get to episode 43, to most people it's become a shoulder shrug.
I mean, it has to me.
It's no longer big news anymore, is it? I remember we published our first few episodes. We were kind of waiting for the world to explode in reaction.
I was worried about Google servers, frankly. I was worried about the volume. Didn't turn out to be a problem.
This is something I wrote this down last week and thinking, maybe we'll talk about this in the podcast. And I don't know if Gary Doyle is going to want to talk about this in the podcast or not, but I'm going to float it out there for a second because it's a bit of a delicate topic.
Whoa.
I want to ask you, do you find more than any other group of professionals at an ad agency that creatives are they tend to snipe at each other behind each other's backs a lot, more so than other departments? That you'll hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, he's a hack." That there's that. That there isn't. Generally speaking, the comments that I find creative directors will make about each other generally tend to be negative more than positive. And I thought about it. I thought, well, maybe it's because more than other departments at an agency, creatives are directly competing with each other to sell work, to work on certain pieces of business, to win awards. I mean, that's more their currency than other departments. But is that just my perception, or would you agree with that?
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think you make a great point about competition. I think there's a lot of insecurity in any creative field, whether it's advertising or music or art. People generally think that they're no good, and they're resentful of other people who are, perhaps rewarded when they think they shouldn't be. I think there's a lot of insecurity. But absolutely. Absolutely. All you have to do is, the old Agency Spy was a gossip site for advertising, the advertising industry, and they actually stopped comments. They don't have comments anymore because they removed them because people were so nasty and so catty that anybody that got mentioned in any story, there could have been a story about Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa did an ad. And people would have said, oh, Mother Teresa. What has she done lately? Yeah, helped poverty, and hunger, but, what's she done lately? I haven't heard much about her. I mean, anybody they'd mention would get trashed by the advertising community.
Until they passed away, and then they were no longer a threat. So that was the one time they could finally somebody could be magnanimous with, he was really talented. But
Hollywood's the same way, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
they after someone's passed, then all the stars come out and they're like, "Oh my God, they were so great." Yeah. But it's the same thing. I'm sure it's the same thing in the entertainment industry. It's like they all think these other people they trash them, and it's insecurity. But you're right. When they've passed, it's like, oh, an incredible artist. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you one quick thing here. I'm going to ask. This is the first ever So There riddle.
Whoa.
All right. Tell me something, Gary Doyle, that you only see in very upscale and very low-income neighborhoods.
Boy, I don't know.
No sidewalks. You ever notice that sidewalks seem to be kind of more a function of middle class and upper middle class neighborhoods? If you go to very high-end neighborhoods, my guess is they don't want people walking around their neighborhood. So it goes right from the lawn to the street.
That's true.
And in very, very poor neighborhoods, there's perhaps not the tax base or whatever other reasons there are no sidewalks. I just thought that was interesting. I always thought sidewalks were kind of a universal thing, but they're really not. It's it's very much kind of yeah.
Is that a riddle, though? I was prepared for a riddle. That is more of a typical Sotherian conundrum or observation or puzzle.
Or an I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Which we don't have an appropriate stinger for anymore because you've rejected the one I did. And
I wonder why.
To your point earlier today, I don't want to ask John Binder to do another one yet because he just did your a new one on I Decree, I think.
I decree.
Say we're stuck. We're stuck a little bit.
Yeah. I was trying to think of that. I can't think of it now. But the the surgeon. Remember the surgeon riddle? The surgeon riddle. Yeah, that's a famous one.
Oh, yeah. You mean the thing that when they said I can't operate on this child? He's my son.
Right. The son and the father got in a car crash, and
the surgeon comes in and says,
the son was badly injured, rushed to the hospital, and the surgeon said, "I can't operate on him. He's my son."
Right.
How is this possible?
Right. It was a more effective riddle. The first time I had heard that riddle was on an All in the Family episode in the early 70s. And the answer was that the surgeon is the boy's mother. And then it was like, oh my gosh, what a concept, a female surgeon. I never would have thought of that. But I remember that riddle because, that whole episode was based on no one could figure it out until Edith figured it out, I think, at the end of the episode. God bless her.
If any of you listeners were not aware that, yes, the surgeon was his mother. Although if you think about TV shows, not many female surgeons, right? Right? Not many.
Yeah.
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 Who was Chad Everett?
Chad Everett, a medical center.
Yeah, he played a surgeon. George Clooney played a surgeon. On ER. Yeah, lots of male surgeons. Chad Everett. What did he do? Solve crimes? And he was a surgeon?
I don't know. He was
Jack
very handsome.
Like Jack Klugman, Quincy, the crime-solving coroner. Tom, would you like me to share a little mail?
I'd love some mail. We haven't had mail in a while. I should think to check that inbox every so often.
I don't think much will be in there.
That's why I don't check it.
The So There mailbox has an echo when you speak into it. There's a loud echo. Any messages? But we did get one from a listener. Tom, also named Tom, not Tom Karamitis, although Tom Karamitis has been known to listen to his own podcast.
And
the same way that great singer-songwriters sometimes go back and listen to their old records.
Many do not.
Many do not. Yeah. All right. So Tom writes, in case your podcast needs some old white guy rants. By the way, Tom, it doesn't, because that's all this podcast could have been called Old White Guy Rants instead of So There. But Tom writes, in case your podcast needs some old white guy rants. Number 1, targeted marketing. Marketers brag about their ability to reach consumers based on browsing habits, but in my experience, they are way off the mark. For example, someone recently asked if one of my books, this is an author, Tom is an author, a New York Times best-selling author, actually, no lie. Someone asked if one of my books was available in Spanish, so I Googled it for 3 days after all the ads in my browser were in Spanish. Also, a year ago, I ordered a pair of shoes online. For days afterwards, my browser was full of ads for shoes. But guess what, guys? I already bought the shoes. Good point. Does your research show that people who just bought a pair of shoes are going to immediately buy another pair? The smart thing would be to show me anything but shoes because I already bought shoes. Third example of this, 6 months ago, I bought a blouse for my wife online. Ever since I've been getting ads for women's clothing. And here's the interesting part, because I'm not clicking through, the clothing they pitch me gets more and more provocative. As if that's going to entice me. I finally realized I can game the system by shopping for things I actually like to look at, which prompts ads for those things. So I shop for, but never buy, expensive fine art, vintage cars, and upscale ping pong tables. All right. White guy rant number 2 from Tom. Modern farmhouse. My wife grew up on a farm and assures me that no farmer worth their salt would be caught dead in a house full of fake old-timey signs and weathered bric-a-brac from Hobby Lobby. As she tells it, farmhouses are old and manure-saturated unless the farmer is successful enough to build a new house, in which case they build a simple brick ranch house decorated with as little evidence as animal husbandry as possible. And his third example of an old white guy rant, and this is a great one. This is not a visual medium, so it's a podcast, but he shares a picture of a yellow freight truck, right? But the truck is orange. If you want to, this is a conundrum. If you want to Google the yellow freight logo, it's actually orange.
Interesting.
It is. Yes. Yellow freight is orange. So there.
Tom's first point reminded me of something somebody at Leo Burnett told me in a meeting once when they said, Facebook is who you'd like to be. Google is who you are. What you put into that Google search box, I think anti-itch ointment, that's the veil has been lifted there.
That's a great quote. Very true.
Thank you, Tom. I like it. It's Tom put a lot of thought into that.
Tom is a thoughtful guy. He's a loyal listener, and like us, an old white man who likes to rant. Apparently, he doesn't like to rant. He's a nice person.
Do you have time for one more thing?
Oh my gosh, Tom Karamitis. Wow.
I'm a little ashamed of what I did. Does Gary Doyle ever participate in online forums? Like, I know you're in the process of buying a new TV. Will you go to the online forum, perhaps for that TV, and listen and look at the questions people ask and discussions people have about various features? Do you do that?
The only thing I do that for, if any habit at all, is there's a Chicago Cubs fan blog called Bleacher Nation, and I engage during games in dialogue with the other fans. Usually it's complaining about the team or why'd they bring in this pitcher. If that's what you're talking about. I don't about products, but I do engage in an online dialogue for the Cubs.
Well, you'll understand the spirit of what happened to me. I won't identify the company because I don't want anybody to search me out. But I bought a tech product, and I had some questions about it. So I found the online forum for this product. And I asked a question, and the person who answered it, their answer didn't make any sense because I said, I've already tried that and it didn't work. And the person got kind of progressively more nasty and kind of started every response with, as I said, da 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 da. And then I responded with, as I said, I've already tried that and it didn't work. So, this went back and forth and I'm feeling my blood pressure rising. And then a couple other people chimed in and started bullying me a little bit, because I guess a lot of these online forums are kind of a tightly kept little clique of people who just hang out together on the online forum and answer questions and stuff. Anyway, I didn't really know what to do because I realized I didn't want to keep escalating this, and I was feeling a combination of anger and embarrassment. So what I did was, and this is the part that's embarrassing, I created a fake alternate ID for myself. And I, different email address, different username, and I got on there, and under the fake ID, I chastised the people who were bullying Tom Karamitis.
So that you created a burner account. Do you know what burner accounts are?
No, I haven't heard that.
That's what they're called. That's what people who will create a burner account do. That's an alter ego. Kevin Durant, the superstar basketball player, famously created a burner account that he could respond to his critics about on Twitter, and he was found out. He would respond, and people would say Kevin Durant is having a terrible year, and he'd respond and go, no, I think he's actually pretty good, and it was found to be Kevin Durant.
Didn't Donald Trump have one of those when he was, before he was president, he had this fake name that he'd use that would pop up?
Yeah. I think so. He also used to call... He used to call journalists under an assumed identity. He would try to pretend he wasn't Donald Trump.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay. But anyway, I felt a combination of satisfaction and embarrassment at the same time. Because I realized and it's quite possible that I was just being thick-headed, that the answer they were giving me was correct and I just didn't understand it. But they kind of mansplained it to me. They kept explaining what I needed to do in the exact same terms over and over again. So... I went to all this trouble, created a fake ID, got online with that fake ID, and chastised them for not treating Mr. Karamitis with a little bit more dignity and compassion.
You do deserve dignity and compassion. You do, especially today on Father's Day. But I've engaged. I don't engage anymore with getting fights like you're saying with people, because at some point you're arguing online with a person you've never met. This is the height of ridiculousness. So
when I got a new car a few years ago, I had a question about it, and I had a similar experience. A guy who was obviously a gearhead was telling me stuff I didn't really understand, and I asked him a follow-up question, and he got a little sarcastic with me. So my response was, hey, you know what? Maybe sometime you can come down to my office, and I'll make fun of all your stupid questions.
Whoa.
I felt good about that. I felt that was a decent comeback.
That is good. Yeah, it's just in the end a waste of time. Charles Barkley had a great quote. He said once, I'm not on social media, and people said, oh, how could you not be on social media? And he said, because social media is where fools go to feel important.
Yeah, I like that. And unfortunately, I was one of those fools this past week. So, well, Gary, should we wrap up our special Father's Day episode of So There?
Yes, very special Father's Day episode. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and for all the work they do. And until next time, for Gary Doyle, this is Tom Karamitis saying, So there!